The Hot Bodies TCX is driven by two world champions. But what about the rest of us? Can the club racers count on the TCX? We spoke to Andy Moore.
Where do you think the car is an improvement over the very successful Cyclone?
It's generally easier to drive, to be honest. We've changed quite a few things to get the flex more equal. The balance has obviously now been set up purely for brushless motors and LiPo batteries. So everything's been moved closer to the centre line. Certainly the motor's been moved over a lot further, and it generally makes the car much easier to drive.
I know in full-size motorsport people often look for something that has a wider operating area of setup. Is that something you look for as well in model cars?
Yeah, I mean that's where we're at with the TCX basically. We don't have to, with the old Cyclone we had to find pretty much a perfect setup to get it to be as competitive as some of the others. But now we have a wider operating band, so to speak. So yeah, it is a lot easier. Which
I suppose is a really good sort of selling point for the ordinary touring car racer, that you aren't on the knife edge having to copy your setups. You can go in a nice, more relaxed, broader style.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think for club racers and the top racers alike, it's just generally more easy to set up.
And obviously not for you, but obviously the big push these days, obviously within touring cars, is the slightly slower motors, the 10.5s and the 13.5s. Did you do any development specifically for that, or is the fact the car that works well in full mob will work equally as you reduce the power?
During testing, when we were testing indoors back home, I ran a lot of 10.5, not specifically to test 10.5 with the car, just because that was generally what was being run at the time, so to see whether it was competitive or not. But I think for sure if you can make it work with modified and go in the speeds we do with modified, then 10.5 won't be a problem.
DHI Cup 2010 Superstock class was dominated by two cars. Both were hot bodies.
The lap speeds, as I said, very consistent, but let's keep our eyes on the leader. Leaders, how can we tell them apart? Bergfeld with the hot bodies and advanced electronics, and look how close this is. Docker with the LRP hot bodies combination. This is a real fight to the death now.
I mean, looking at Hara yourself, the car's obviously completely on the pace here on tarmac, temperature dependent. But of course, the half the season we do is on carpet. I mean, is that do you need two separate cars, or can you just will the car be able to be moved across from one to the other?
In all honesty, it's not a massive difference between setup from my carpet setup that I found to be the best for me to what we're running now. It's probably only shock setup's a little bit different with the oil and the spring, but the general geometry is very, very similar, so you don't have to change very much, to be honest, to switch between the two.
So basically the perfect club car then?
I would say so.
Thanks, Andy.